In this video, we're going to talk about bringing in topo points and the data that's collected out in the field. So the first thing I want to go ahead and do is bring in the topo points. But first, I want to set up our coordinate system. So we know that there's a coordinate system that we'll be working on. We'll be working on a horizontal and vertical datum. So the horizontal datum that we're going to be talking about is if you look at your settings tab in Civil 3D, you right click and go edit drawing settings. Make sure your tool space is open. If your tool space is not open, if it looks like this, go to your home, go to tool space, left click, and then underneath the settings tab, right click and edit drawing settings. Now, this project that I'm working on here is going to be in the projection or the zone of United States, Florida. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to go NAD 83 East Zone US foot. Okay, and then I'm going to go apply. Now, the reason I do that is because I like to use my geolocation. As soon as I do that, geolocation will pop up here, but make sure you have a login or Autodesk account. That's the only way you'll see the aerial on this. Again, this might be an issue with the VMware. I'm not 100% sure of that, but if you download the software on your desktop at home, you should be able to see it. Now, I'm going to basically import the points here, and I just started on a generic drawing that first popped up. Now, I'm going to go ahead and continue like this, but as we go through the semester, you need to start looking at how to fix the information to make it look presentable when you do the project. So I'm doing this as it is out of the box. The company you work for may already have setups. So the first thing I want to do is I have actually got over here a template that I created, and I'll show you the difference. I'll do this twice. I'll do it with the template after, and I'll go ahead and insert the points here. We talked about this in class. This is a text file that is usually downloaded from your data collector out in the field. So some of you already had field experience. Again, the data is brought in with PNEZD format, P being the point number, N being the northing, E being easting, Z being the elevation, and D being the description. Okay, so you can see there's descriptions: BM northwest, BM northeast, TR for tree, or it could be TR for a traverse point, depending on what your acronym is. And we'll talk about acronyms in a second. But let's go ahead and get this information into our drawing just to see what it looks like. Okay, and to get that information in, you're going to go to the Insert tab, and you're going to bring in Points from File. When you click Points from File, this dialog box will come up. Hit the green plus, and then it will source out to your site. So mine is on my desktop. My shortcut lab, and I put it underneath lab 1. You'll download this. So it's the 2018 Advanced Survey Topo project. I taught this in another college and I had the data available. So okay, now you're going to come down here and you're going to pick in PNEZD, comma delimited. Point number, northing, easting, point elevation, raw description. Now I'm going to add it to a group, so we'll talk about groups also. I'm going to hit this little plus button or symbol over here, and the group that I'm going to add it to is, I'm going to just say, I'm going to do it based on date that I'm bringing the information in. So I'm just going to say it's August during this video. So if I use this video again, it'll be August 2021 is when that data was collected. Okay, and then I go okay. Now, come down here to your command prompt, type in Z, enter, E, enter. and there is the topo points. Now, if I turn on my geolocation and I come over here to go to aerial map and I say yes, it will fall into the correct location. Give it a second, and there it is. This data was collected by a survey group in 2018 when I taught at Valencia College, and this is the Valencia College site, okay? You notice that the aerial isn't perfectly set up. You can see that it's close. So this little symbol here that represents a tree actually isn't a tree. It was a traverse point. There is a benchmark that sits right underneath here, okay? And there was benchmarks on all four corners. Now, with that being said, and you can see there's oak trees, okay? So that allows us to bring in the points. Now, I want to talk about acronyms. So I'm going to open up an Excel file. At least I think I am. Okay, so here is my Excel file with all the different labeling in it. So the shots that were taken, BLDG stands for building, BM stands for benchmark, BOC is back at curb. So this is what the guys out in the field would collect, and they would put short acronyms for our description. So what I want to do is I want to sort our data into point groups, okay? So this is one of the first steps that the company I work for and have worked for before, how they organize their information to be able to draw a topographic map, okay? So to create point groups, I am going to actually split the screen. So I've got two pieces of information, so I'm not dragging it back and forth. Let's do that. Let me bring this here. Oops, not there. Just to get it enough that you can see my screen. I'm having problems dragging, sorry people. And bring that over here. Okay. All right, so the first group I want to create is the building. It doesn't matter what order you put it in. So I'm going to go to the prospector, and underneath point groups, I've got the group they originally created that has all the information. All data also has the information in it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to left click on point groups, and then I'm going to right click and create a new one. When it pops up, you're going to get this information. I'm going to call it point, and I'm going to call it building, and I am going to label description only, and I'm going to come over here to include, and you can include data based on their point numbers, but I'm going to do it based on raw description. That's our description that is in that text file. So anything with BLDG in it, and I click apply, and I go, okay. Now you can see that we've got point groups and it has the raw description. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 points that have BLDG in it, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and go new, and I'm gonna write in benchmark, okay? Now on this one, I am going to go, right now I'm gonna go northing and easting, but I want a label that has the description with a northing and easting and elevation. So this one only has points, elevation, and description. So there's not really the one that I want. So what I do is I click on a label, and then I come over here to this arrow, I pull it down, and I copy the current selection. This allows me to type in and make a new one, point, northing, easting, elevation, and description. I'm just gonna, you can call it anything. That's what I'm gonna do. Now, I'm gonna go to general, And there are layers that you can put this information on. Right now I'm going to leave everything to default, and I'll show you a little bit later on organization. Okay, so if I wanted to put this point group with this specific to a specific layer, I could come over here and go, okay, I'm going to put it to the boundary node because it's got benchmarks in there. Okay, so I come over to the layout, and now this is where I'm able to add all the different information. Right now I already have northing and easting, so I'm going to go point number, and then I'm going to put an arrow, place that arrow, and then I'm going to hit enter to get it to the next line. Enter to get it to the next line. Now I also want the elevation, so I'm going to say point elevation, arrow. Now I want the foot mark at the end of the elevation, so, and I also want to type in capital letters ELEV and a colon. Okay, and then I'm going to hit enter, and I'm going to write in DIS description. Okay, and then I'm going to pull this down, and I'm going to write raw description and hit the arrow. Okay, apply, okay. Now I'm also going to come over here. You could change the point style to a benchmark. Okay, include raw description, check that, and then I'm going to do star because it's a wild card, BM star. Apply and okay. Now you can see that this information is adjusting as we move through. Okay. The next one that I want to do is the back of curb. So point groups, new, BOC, and this one's just going to be, I'm going to do elevation and description. No, I'm just going to do description on this one because we're going to be connecting the lines as we create our topographic map. Include raw description, BOC, apply, and okay. New, CB for catch basin, change it to catch basin, description only, raw description, CB, apply, and okay. On the back of curb, I need to check something, the properties. I'm going to change that to just a basic. I should have changed that back. Apply, and okay. Point groups, new. Okay, so now I'm going to do concrete light pole. Can change the style to I only have utility pole. I'll create styles later. Go ahead, and it's going to be description only, include, and I'm going to say CLP. I'm going to create a new one, and this is for anything that's concrete, and this is going to be basic, description only. Apply, okay. New. Now this one's going to be crepe. I can't spell. Crepe myrtle's a tree, so I'm going to go tree. Include. Okay. New. I'm going to create EOP. Sometimes I write them out, and sometimes I just use the acronym, and it's going to be basic. Oops. Basic. Include. EOP. Okay. New. Fire hydrant. Hydrant. Existing. Include. All right. Now the other thing is if I wanted to see where that fire hydrant was, then I could do I clicked on the hydrant and the points and then come down here, and then I can right click, oops, and zoom to. Okay, so there's a fire hydrant over there. All right. New FOC, face of curb. I'm actually going to write face of curb here because FOC can actually stand for fiber optics cable. So just in case the guys in the field, depending on how they collect the information, that's why it's important to have a description key. Okay, so it's going to be basic, include, FOC, apply, okay, new, magnolia, so that's going to be a tree, include, MAG. Now, what I could do is if I didn't feel like doing all the different styles of tree, if I didn't have to identify them with different styles, I am just going to go new, and I'm not going to do the rest of the trees, and I'm just going to say tree. By doing tree, I can include in the raw descriptions, I'm going to type in CRP, comma, MAG, comma, pine, comma, is there any other trees? Oak. I think that's all the trees. Apply and okay. Now, it populated the rest of the trees. Now, I want to show you something else in here. I'm going to create a new group called no-show. Okay? No-show means there is no point style and there's no label style. And then on the include, I'll include all of the points. I'll apply and okay. By doing that, the no-show allows me to get rid of the points. Now, these 2 points actually show up because underneath of, if you look at their styles themselves, if you look at the TR, it is, let me go to no show and edit points. See how it has these styles associated with them? So I am going to click on style. These will show up because they have a style associated with them in that group. So on this, if I wanted to not have that style, I can click on this, click on the, I don't know how to explain this. Okay, so I'm highlighting it, but I'm not touching anything. I'm just hovering over the style. I'm right clicking and I edit. When I edit, I click on none, and the same with the point style. Right click, edit, and none. Okay. Now all of my styles are gone. There's nothing here. But if I just wanted to see the trees themselves, if I come over here and I right click and I go properties, when it pops up, I'm going to get this list. No show is at the top. And see these little arrows, they can organize it. So I can say, I just want to see all the trees. I can apply them and okay. And there's all my trees. So this is a method when we start to delineate what we want to draw. So if I right click, go properties, and I send that down below no show is at the top, but what if I wanted to just look at the edge of pavement? Apply and okay. Now I can see the edge of pavement and I can connect the dots or connect the points to draw the pavement edge. So I'm gonna turn this off for right now so you can see. So I could actually, and type in regen for me. That gets rid of the trees. So I could try a polyline on, let's say I create home and I create a, go to our layer properties. In our layer properties over here, let me pull this over. These are the all default layers in the program now, okay? I'm not gonna use those right now, so it's gonna be easier for us to sort. This button right here allows me to create a new layer. I am going to call it 0-FAU-EOP, and I'm gonna make it current. And I am going to make it, I'm gonna leave it white, make it current, okay? So now up here you can see that it's on the current layer. And I'm going to type in PL for polyline, and I am going to come over here. I'm going to snap. I'm going to use my O snaps. And if I pull this arrow down, I can snap to a node, okay? All points are nodes. And when I click on this button again, see how it changes colors? It's like a bluish gray color. I'm not sure what it's going to be in your version. Sometimes it's a bright blue. Sometimes I've seen it a different color, just highlighted. So now I can snap from endpoint to endpoint, okay? And I can start building my road. So now if I turn this aerial back on my geolocation, just to give you an idea, I can see that this now outlines the road, okay? I'm going to type in LA again, and I'm going to make it pop. I'm going to turn it to yellow just so we can see it easier with the arrow on. I'm going to change that color. I'm going to change it to yellow, and it is a continuous line type, okay? It doesn't pop as well as I'd like it to be, so maybe I'll use a different color. And the colors that you actually select are going to be based on the pen settings and what your company has. I can't get back over to my, there we go. I'm going to try blue to see if I can just use the aerial and draw over the top of it. It's not easy to see. I'm going to type in PL for polyline, and I can start drawing the curb. Apparently the guys out in the field forgot to collect this portion. So I'm just going to, stop there. I'm not going to use that line. If you don't have a point, you can't draw it, technically, unless it's an exhibit, and then you can use an aerial to connect the dots in the exhibit. But in a true survey, don't make up points that aren't there, unless your surveyor tells you to. He got maybe a bearings and distance call out. And there is the first part of our topographic survey. Okay, so what I'd like for you to do is to create the rest of the point groups. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pause here, and I am going to create the point groups, and then I'm going to come back and show you what style and groups to select.